Tonight on Elon Local News.
Showing you the money, donors, endowments, what's next? ENN's exclusive interview with Vice President for University Advancement, Jim Pyatt.
Fleeing the front lines, just one day before President Biden's deadline for withdrawal, where Afghanistan stands today.
And tracking Ida. Louisiana is dark following the violent arrival of Hurricane Ida. Will North Carolina see the aftermath? Your Phoenix 5-Day is ahead.
These stories and more.
Elon Local News starts now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
We begin tonight with an ENN alert. Police reports obtained today by our newsroom detail an assault on a police officer by an Elon student during the early hours of Sunday morning. Good evening. I'm Baylor Rodman.
And I'm Chloe Franklin. Thank you for joining us.
Our Ellis Chandler reported live on South O'Kelly Avenue earlier today with the police report in hand. Ellis?
Thanks, Baylor and Chloe. Those signed up for the Elon e-alert messaging system were notified of the assault investigation just after 1 a.m. early Sunday morning. Town of Elon police were patrolling the area, and the reports I have with me say they observed a large party in traffic violation. They responded to a noise ordinance violation and cleared the roadway. An Elon student involved in the incident has no comment at this time, but parent Wendy Valenti is expressing her concerns.
Everyone's on their phone, they're walking around, they're not looking, and I think I was happy that they had the e-alert system because I think we have to be vigilant. I wish it gave more information. There was not a lot of information about what happened. And
we just saw town police activity here on South O'Kelly, but we are unclear as to what was going on. I spoke with town police and they have no further updates at this time. Back to you in the studio.
Ellis Chandler on South O'Kelly Avenue tonight. Thank you.
As of today, Elon is reporting 14 cases of COVID-19 on campus. With the vaccination rate over 95% in students, our Maeve Ashbrook took a look at how much of a threat the coronavirus really poses to fully vaccinated students.
The Centers for Disease Control defines a breakthrough case as a detection of COVID-19 in a fully vaccinated person or someone more than 2 weeks past their second dose.
Chief Epidemiologist for the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, Dr. Zach Moore, says the organization is monitoring these cases, but the rates are low compared to unvaccinated people.
I think that just kind of really drives home the point that, although we're in a very, very bad spot with our COVID pandemic right now in North Carolina, we have an incredibly effective tool.
Elon's medical director, Dr. Jeanette Archinal, agrees. In an interview with ENN, Archinal said the vaccine is not enough to prevent an outbreak on campus.
If the surge gets worse, if more vaccinated people start getting sick, then I would expect, based on past performance, that Elon administration will readdress that issue.
It is unclear whether or not the university tracks what COVID cases are breakthrough cases versus which ones are not, but it will update COVID case numbers on campus every week. Maeve Ashbrook, Elon Local News.
According to Healthy Elon, students who are fully vaccinated should talk to a medical professional either on or off campus if they think they're experiencing coronavirus symptoms.
Some international students are caught up in the vaccine approval process at Elon now that the shot is required for all students. Though Cambodia native Suni Threem does have the vaccine approved by Elon, she says the process was not as simple as it was for American residents.
Elon wants like an FDA approved vaccine, but the vaccine available in Cambodia and mostly in Asia is WHO approved. So I have Sinovac, which is WHO approved, but Elon also approved it as well.
Representative for the Global Education Center, Shauna Van Beek, told Elon News Network international students who get their shot outside the U.S. are, quote, supported on a case-by-case basis.
For some students, Elon's study abroad programs are what made them come to campus, and now the GEC is reporting that nearly 300 Elon students are beginning their courses overseas. Elon Jr. Kendall Gilbert is currently studying abroad in Florence, Italy. Small class sizes and proper distancing allow her to attend class in person and unmasked. But in order to enter restaurants and museums in the area, she must show her vaccine card.
I thought it was going to be worse than this. This is like the best possible situation right now. I thought that we'd have to wear masks everywhere we are walking outside, but it's not too bad here.
Meanwhile, in Denmark, Junior Carolina Sant says nearly 70% of Copenhagen residents are vaccinated, and the mask mandate in the area has been lifted.
Feels normal here. I feel lucky that I got away from the United States, and all my classes are in person, so it feels almost like normal life here.
Even though the university cannot confirm that students will get to stay abroad for the full semester, both Gilbert and Sant say the study abroad programs were worth the wait.
Funeral arrangements for Elon trustee Wallace L. Chandler have been announced following his death last Wednesday. A memorial service is set for Wednesday, September 1st at 1 p.m. at River Road Church in Richmond, Virginia. A burial service for family and friends is set for the next day at 11 a.m. at Oak Ridge Cemetery in South Boston, Virginia. Chandler served on the Board of Trustees for over 40 years and was known as an advisor to Elon presidents J. Earl Dannelly, Fred Young, and Leo Lambert.
Rich Austin, who was selected as Burlington Police Chief in August, chose to step back from the position due to a family circumstance. Austin said he plans to remain in his current role as Chief of the Milton, Georgia Police Department. Austin was set to begin the role on September 27th. Kearns is set to serve as interim police chief for the second time, continuing in this role until the position is filled. Coming up, relief and disbelief now that masks are here to stay.
Tropical storm Ida continues to deliver catastrophic damage, heavy rain, and severe flooding to those in its path. Ida made landfall near New Orleans Sunday as a Category 4 hurricane, bringing rain, high winds, and dangerous sea surges. It is now expected to be the fiercest storm to have struck the city since Hurricane Katrina 16 years ago to the day. At this hour, millions of homes, businesses, and the entire city of New Orleans remain without power. Looking ahead, the storm is expected to weaken but continue to bring heavy rainfall and moderate winds through Tennessee and Kentucky tomorrow as it now makes its way up to the northeast, overall impacting 30 million people. For Elon students who call Louisiana home, like junior Rennell Taylor, hurricanes like Ida are common for the area during this time of year.
I think the reason my parents aren't leaving, or like the reason my dad isn't really scared, because after a while you kind of become like numb to it, because it happens almost like hurricane season is a yearly thing.
New Orleans community is a beautiful and resilient one.
Everybody was like pitching in to get our community back, because without our community, the city is literally nothing.
Taylor says he's worried about staying in touch with his parents during the storm. After losing power earlier this afternoon, Taylor's family has evacuated and are on their way to Alabama.
For a look now at the weather closer to home, our Jenna Manderioli joins us live on Citroen Plaza with our Phoenix 5-day forecast. Jenna.
Good evening. It feels like 100 degrees out here, but hopefully we're going to see less of these 90-degree trends later this week. Now for your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Tomorrow we're going to see some low 90s and some clouds, so we'll get a break from that sun. And tomorrow night, heading into Wednesday, we're going to start to see the effects of Hurricane Ida in the Burlington area with scattered thunderstorms all day, so be careful on your walk to classes. On Thursday and heading into the weekend, we're going to start to see that sun peak back out with some mid to low 80s. We're looking at a gorgeous Friday and Saturday for when our class of 2020 returns to campus for their long-awaited in-person commencement ceremony. That's it for your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Jenna Manderioli with your Phoenix 5-day forecast this evening. Jenna, thank you.
Students and faculty are voicing their relief and concerns after the university extended the mask mandate. Our Kira O'Connor has the story.
From the classroom to the library, masks are still required in all indoor settings on campus, regardless of vaccination status. Elon University professor of religious studies Lynn Huber says she is comforted by the policy change.
With colleagues who have children who are unvaccinated, I have students who have compromised immune systems and health issues.
English professor Jennifer Idem spent all of last year on Zoom to keep her children and the Elon community safe. She says with the mask mandate, she is hoping to maintain a healthy classroom environment.
Expectation may help create sort of a culture where wearing a mask is okay, and maybe I can ask my students to continue to wear masks.
But not all students agree. Senior Chuck Steinis says he would feel completely comfortable back in the classroom without a mask and hopes the university will allow students to be unmasked soon.
The campus being vaccinated, I think now that everyone should have their own personal choices and preferences whether to wear a mask or not. And mandate doesn't give you that option.
Until transmission rates in the community decrease, masks are here to stay. Kira O'Connor, Elon Local News.
Until transmission rates in the community decrease, Elon University officials have not set an end date to the indoor mask mandate.
Elon University has an endowment of $335 million. Now that sounds like a lot, but it's lower than many schools around our size. Vice President for University Advancement Jim Pyatt says Elon started raising money later than some of our competitors. But what is an endowment? Where's the money going? And quite frankly, why should students care? I sat down with Jim Pyatt to have that conversation.
In its simplest form, an endowment is a series of funds that the university holds in perpetuity. That means they're there forever, and those funds have a purpose, and most of those funds at Elon have a purpose of supporting student scholarships.
How has the pandemic impacted it at all?
Yeah, well, again, I would say that because the endowment is largely restricted for certain purposes, that's what it's restricted for, and we can't use it for other reasons. Probably where that pandemic had the impact the most is simply that in the donor community, people who are considering making a gift to the university or any charitable organization for that matter, they may have had their confidence shaken a little bit.
Was it also because of how the university responded to specific things? Did you hear donors talk about that at all in terms of us being able to be open and how that made it?
You put the finger on it right there. So many folks we've heard from were just tickled that we pushed through, worked hard to remain open, remain face-to-face, because I think a lot of donors to Elon, just like a lot of students at Elon, understand this place is about engagement and high-impact practices, and those things happen because we're in the same space.
How are you kind of spreading that message that not only higher education is worth it, but that Elon education is worth it?
Yeah, well, we focus a lot on how the Elon education is worth it in our messaging, and there's no better way to tell that story than through the lens of students. So to be very open about this, we will show, we'll utilize some video resources where students and alums will tell their story about how a scholarship to attend Elon made all the difference. We also do things like scholarship students will write to the donors who created the scholarship that student has received and thank them and send photos of their Elon experience. I think the main thing I would say to students today is to think about the impact of philanthropy that surrounds you, whether those donors gave to endowment or whether they made gifts to support some of the technology or the building space itself. The impact of giving back to the university or giving to the university is felt every single day. For most students, it feels somewhat invisible, right? But I can guarantee you, if you go through a year at Elon, buildings that were supported by donors, you are going to be taking advantage of opportunities that were supported by donors. And as students get to sort of understand that as part of their Elon experience, then when they become alums and they maybe get a call from our phone center about would you consider a gift back to the School of Comm or a gift to the Phoenix Club to support athletics, they may be a little more inclined to do so.
To watch the full Q&A with Vice President for University Advancement Jim Pyatt, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
After the break, kicking off the season with men's soccer.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Today, Pentagon officials warn there is still a, quote, active threat in Kabul that remains high and real. President Biden's initial deadline for U.S. troops and diplomats to leave Afghanistan was no later than 11:59 p.m. local time tomorrow. But there are reports this evening that the last U.S. Air Force plane took off this afternoon, one day ahead of schedule. This as Biden traveled to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware Sunday, meeting with the families of the 13 U.S. service members killed in the Kabul airport attack. Well, the next 2 days may determine how the U.S. is forever remembered in Afghanistan. Elon political science professor Thomas Kerr says it's important to look back at the last 2 decades.
I think we could have committed or achieved our objectives without putting boots on the ground, without the mass number of civilian casualties that have occurred over the last 20 years. So I think our legacy there is valid based upon the behavior that we've conducted over the last 20 years.
Kerr says his students are expressing concerns for what this could mean in the future.
A lot of students are worried that Afghanistan is going to be another hotbed for terrorist organizations to reform and carry out attacks from there against the United States.
This marks the first time in nearly 20 years that no U.S. troops will be on the ground in Afghanistan.
And our Jacob Kismore reported earlier today from Rudd Field for a look ahead at tonight's game.
Men's soccer team returns to the pitch tonight for its home opener against Liberty University. The team kicked off its season with a win last weekend against Merrimack University, scoring 2 goals in the final 12 minutes. Freshman midfielder Scott Votney scored his first college goal on a free kick to get the Phoenix on the scoreboard. He says he's excited for the team's potential going forward.
Do what we're doing in this game, keep playing our game, and yeah, we're gonna get chances. So as long as we don't concede, we're gonna win the games. We've got a lot of talent in this team. And
tonight's game kicks off at 7 p.m. here at Rudd Field. For post-game coverage, visit elonnewsnetwork.com and follow us at social media at Elon News Network. Back to you in the studio.
Jacob Kismore, thank you.
A grand opening 3 years in the making. Elon Club Esports, a competitive video gaming team with 300 members to its name, plans to open the Club Esports Lounge tomorrow in the Global Commons. President of the club, John Spitznagel, says building the lounge was not easy to come by.
We had been fighting with the university for a little bit, just trying to get some more support for us, either better Wi-Fi or like Ethernet somewhere that we could go. One day we were fighting with the university, the next day John DeLoughy sent us an email saying to come meet him here in Global Commons.
Be used for everyday practice as well as weekly game nights, which will be open to the public. The room has 2 TVs, 12 PCs, an Xbox Series X, and a Nintendo Switch. Spitznagel says they are also working on acquiring a PlayStation 5. Faculty advisor Brandon Essere says the competitive gamers need a space to call their own.
Soccer needs a field, basketball needs an arena, and the Elon Club Sports needed a place where they could go and compete, but also just kind of get together and be a club.
If you're interested in joining Club Esports, you can go to the Phoenix Connect website, search Elon Club Esports, and click Join.
Stay tuned. It's curtains up for performing arts. What you need to know about returning to the theater.
Live performances are back at the Center for the Arts this year. The fall season marks the beginning of the end for some Elon seniors, and they are certainly feeling pretty bittersweet. Ariane Marie Bonner has more.
Senior dance major Caroline Booth gets to perform with her classmates again, masked but not distanced. She's also choreographing pieces for the fall dance concert. She says live shows are more rewarding.
The aspect of performing is kind of different. With a live performance, you get to really connect with the audience. Like it's like a full like dancer audience connection, and like you can kind of like read the emotion more.
Even though she's in the early stages of the creative process, Booth says she's using her dancer strengths and weaknesses to make her vision come to life on stage. This semester's musical, 42nd Street, marks senior Weston LaCrone's last fall opening night, where he hopes to make a lasting impression before graduation.
As a performer, as an artist, you never know who's in the audience. You know, someone who grew up watching theater at such a young age and was really mesmerized it and then felt moved to do it themselves. you never know what sort of impact you're going to have on those audiences, which I think is something that's really unique to theater.
While Lecrone's class may be small, he says the bond the 25 have made since freshman year is special.
Senior year is sort of like this big, daunting year, but also remembering to take the time to enjoy it, have fun, and lower the stakes a little bit.
After time away from the stage, he's ready to collaborate again. Lecrone says there's nothing quite like live theater. McCrary Theater will be back hosting family and friends this fall, and the seats beside me will be full starting late October with the opening of 42nd Street. At the Center for the Arts, I'm Anne-Marie Bonner, Elon Local News.
All right, Anne-Marie Bonner, thank you. Fall Dance Concert Director Casey Avant says the Department of Performing Arts has not yet made a decision about masks for both performers and audience members. And Chloe, I've got to tell you, I heard you never been to a show, obviously.
I have not.
Which is crazy to me as a sophomore, but with everything that happened last year, you've never been in the building.
No, and I performed a lot as a kid. I did dance and gymnastics, so I love to go watch, and it's crazy that I haven't been able to.
And, I really hope that, especially, obviously with university guidance, I'm sure they'll make the audience members wear masks, but, with the performers, I hope they could just test them so that, you get to sort of see the show. That they're really talented students, and they did some great work via Zoom as well, even last year, I think. My roommate is an acting BFA major, shout out to him, his whole team, but they're super, super talented. They do great work, and it would certainly be great to, I think, see them on the stage. I'm excited for 42nd Street.
Yes, definitely, and like you said, I hope unmasked, because I couldn't imagine performing with a mask on. It's so hard and challenging, and so much emotion comes through your face.
There's enough safety protocols, and hopefully we can get the whole cast in here. Well, that's all the news we have for you this evening. Thanks so much for inviting us into your homes tonight.
For all the news you need to know, we're not on air. Visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And be sure to follow us on social media at Elon News Network.
We'll see you right back here for ELN Morning, Thursday at 10 a.m.
Have a great week, Elon.